Western State Mental Hospital. And that hospital is, you go there mainly is like you don't have no money and you're really crazy, or you've committed a lot of crimes, or you murdered people and they commit you into the mental ward, The old remains of the original part of the building is still there. At least it was a couple of years ago. I can't say it's there anymore. But the cemetery was up there. And, again, back in the 1800s and even up to probably the 1930s, a mental institution was probably even worse than prison, because not everybody ended up in a mental institution, right?
Right.
I'll tell you a little story, and we can go over 5 minutes or so if you don't mind.
I'm go ahead.
Yeah, the one radio station that's picking us up in California will drop out in a minute, so that's okay. But I'm going to say this, that, you go out in those, how can I say it? You could end up back in the 1800s, around 1870s, 1890s, if you had sex a lot. Do you realize that a lot of people would have you committed?
Yeah. Yes. You know what? It's funny you say that, because I have read, believe it or not, in some of the old defunct asylums, I have read some of the manuscripts, and you would not believe some of the stuff that's written in there. I don't even know if I could even say it, like over masturbation, going nuts from that. Too much sex was one of them, or adultery. Sometimes if you did more than a few adulteries, they would put you away.
Especially husbands would do that to their wives. You know that? It is around the 1870s, 1890s. Before that, if their wife was out having an affair with them, they would have them committed, because, it was a way to get, I guess, back at them and then get rid of their wife, the nice legal way.
Yeah, and that it's mind-boggling. Some of the stuff I have read in some of the manifesto of the reasons why people were in there. Like some rich families that maybe they had a son that was autistic back then, which they didn't really know much about. 120 years ago or 50 years ago, so they didn't want to be bothered. They dropped him off at the asylum and go on, or had some kind of hooges or that disease where you grow like. Andre the Giant, and stuff like that. They would just drop you off and didn't care about you. It's just wrong, all kind of reasons.
But the thing is that the people were actually treated worse than if you went to prison. I mean, I've read cases where they put people in cages where they couldn't even stand up. So they were in cages for like 10, 20 years, right? Well, when they went to release them eventually, guess what? They couldn't stand ever again because their back was permanently bent into a sitting position.
And you got muscle apathy and everything else. And then at Penhurst, if you bit somebody, they pull all your teeth.
Oh yeah,
with no anesthesia, just rip them all out. I mean, listen, it was like a horror movie what they did to people, to the patients in there.
Or how?
Leftwich. Look up the documentary on Leftwich when the news crew from New York busted that case wide open, how they was treating people in there. They're sitting around on their feces and naked, not eating, and it was just a nightmare. A nightmare.
Or they do the lobotomy, where they cut open and remove part of your brain.
Abusing the patients and all kind of crazy stuff. It was awful.
Or shock treatment and all that stuff. And then you figured that, the cemeteries in these mental hospitals, the old ones, the cemeteries are huge. So how many people died from, I hate to say it, they were tortured.
Yep.
It's simple. Their whole life, once they really got in a mental institution, you're there till you die. And, they probably didn't want to house you forever. So, I mean, your life expectancy is not very long back then. So you would think, that I even think they would be more spirits if you go out ghost hunting around an old, I'm not talking a new mental institution, the old ones.
Right.
Because, I mean, the unhappiness, the craziness. And
that's like that one I went to. It's not even, they tore it down now, but that one I was telling you about in Connecticut, the it was palpable, the evil that was in there, the pressure. It was just wow. And you know, a lot of them bodies, they don't even have marked graves, or they mass buried them. It's like, so you got a lot of spirits at unrest. You've got what I call real evil incarnate, usually one or two floating around in there, and they control the other spirits. And it's a perfect storm of paranormal and disaster if you're not careful what the hell you're doing.
Well, thank God we live in a time now where you can almost, it's impossible to commit somebody. Thank God for that.
Sure.
But I mean, God,
Yeah.
I just think of all the spirits that, you know, never went to the light. They were tortured. I mean, tormented souls.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Waverly. They had what you call they still got the death chute. They had so many bodies coming because they had TB place there too, and they just sent them just a mad rush of bodies going out in that chute where they, you know, talking thousands of people over 100 years. It's just mind-boggling.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really is. And some of the treatments, they put a hole in your chest, or they thought it would help you, or they take a rib out, or it's just brutal.
I know. It's just, they didn't even know what type of part of the brain they were taking out. They just made up somebody the zombie. I mean, if there is really zombies, there were a lot of them back around the 1900s and before. I can tell you that.
You imagine being tied down to a barber's chair and the guy's coming at you with an ice pick and a little tacking hammer. You're going to put up in your eyeball and tap it so you can be a zombie.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the anxiety that runs through you before that moment happens? Just think about that.
Or how about the drill? You know, they didn't have electric drills then, where they got this nice drill, and they're going to drill into your skull. I mean, how many of those people actually probably died from their treatments?
Oh, boy. Yeah, really. I mean, just the pure pain of it alone is enough to make my gray hair grayer.
Well, how about the people getting shock treatments? You know, you can die from electrocuting yourself. You imagine all the voltage they used to stick in. If somebody had a weak heart to begin with, or a bad heart, and they turned it on in between heartbeats, that's all it takes, man. Your heart,
you're done.
You're done. And I'm
because it stops hearts. It don't take a whole lot to stop a heart, especially if you've got some kind of problem or genetic problem, or you're old or you're young. I mean, you're flirting with death.
Yeah, well, that's what they were, weren't they? They were death houses.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, sir, I want to thank you for stepping in, because our guest was too scared to talk to me, and I'm very easy. Aren't I easy to talk to?
Gary, you're a blast. It's like sitting here in my room just talking old times. You are the easiest guy to talk to that I know, for real.
Now, would you tell that to my wife?
Sure, put her on.
Yeah, okay, that'll be the day. Well, hey, James.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, it is going out tomorrow. I did not have time today. I had so many things all of a sudden it popped in, but I'm going to send it in the mail tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm still at the same address. Do it at your leisure. I trust you. I believe you. No worries. No worries.
Okay, sir. Well, I'm going to let you go. And again, thank you for coming on the show and stepping in.
Gary, anytime. I love it. It's my pleasure, and I'd just like to say thank you, Gary, and Gidget Miller, I love you to death.
And tell your friends to listen to what show?
Gary Tombstone Anderson, Night Dreams. Do not miss it.
Okay, sir.
Or is it talk? Do we put in the talk, or you leave the talk out? I forget.
No, it's Night Dreams Talk Radio.
Night Dreams Talk. Okay, yep. I listen every night, just about, unless something comes up. But unless I'm on investigation or help somebody, I listen every night when you're on.
Okay. Well, you take care.
Thank you, sir, and you too.
Okay. Good night, sir.
Good night. Bye.
Well, okay. So now we don't have to just worry about global warming. We got to worry about, the U.S. military is planning, like I said earlier, to show force in the China Sea and off of Taiwan and all that disputed area by showing force here this coming month by sending massive ships and aircraft and troops in the area to do, practice war games. This to show China, force. All because of China, trying to ram a U.S. destroyer yesterday. Thank God that didn't happen. But then, on the other hand, you look at the U.S. today announced that they are going to basically destroy any contraband nuclear weapon that Russia has. Now, what would happen if Russia said that to us? We're going to destroy anything that is banned that you have in the United States. I'm sure we got banned weapons in our country, don't we? We do. Don't. If you think we don't, I know we do. But how would we take it if Russia says, we will destroy it? Does that mean they come on our territory to destroy it, or do they send a missile to destroy it? I don't know. That's kind of really scary. And then, like I mentioned, not to make things sound even worse, but the IMF has said that our economy is a major risk of a major crash shortly. Then, that was today they said that. Then I was reading earlier that the top bankers, in our country are really worried. They took a poll, and they kind of calculate how things are going. And the majority of them said that they see the bubble bursting between, 2019 to 2020, that the economy is going to burst. I don't know. But again, I think the way the tariffs are being put on, I know that people, are starting to lose some jobs. You maybe you don't know somebody, or maybe you do know somebody that's lost their job already. I mean, it's enough, which I think it can shortly, probably right after the election, start stalling our economy. That's what's scary, because in this country, we don't have much manufacturing jobs left. It's all pretty much, service-oriented jobs, and that's scary, because we don't make much in this country anymore. Harley Davidson is really freaking out that their sales are way down. Now, it could be that they're still designing, motorcycles for people like my age. And they are trying to come out with bikes now to appeal to the younger people. But you know what? Maybe everything goes in a fad. And maybe the motorcycle fad is not there anymore. As us older people like my age are dying off, they're finding that, the sales are just not quite there anymore. But the bad part from them, you remember when our president, invited the Harley Davidson people, and really, showed them as a showcase. Well, let's face it, Harley Davidson is assembled in the United States. Their castings of their motors and some of their parts are made in the United States. But you know what? Their parts are all made in China, in Taiwan, and Mexico, and all that. So with the tariffs on it, too, Harley's starting to sweat bullets on that, too, because it's right now, they can't afford the prices to go up on, what it's going to cost on the bikes, especially when the sales aren't there. So it's kind of, got me scared. Then the last thing I say before I get off the air, look at the Southwest. Look what's going on in Nevada, going on certain parts of California, the heavy, heavy rain. Some of the deserts, they're talking about 6 inches of rain. When those deserts, don't even get that in a year, they're going to get it in a night. So I don't know. A lot of things going on. I don't know. A lot of people say there's no such thing as global warming and earth changes. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm the tooth fairy. We'll find that out on tomorrow's night show. And the last couple of days of the show this week, we're going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, we got a great guest on the show. We have Rob. God, I didn't write the last name down. I'm so sorry, Rob. But we're going to be talking about UFOs tomorrow. And also, I want to say this. In November, if anybody out there is really into UFOs and you've seen something and you got a story you want to tell, please contact me at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. That's nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. Because November, I'm going to try to book up as much as I can about UFOs. And we're going to also talk about area, not 51, but area 52.